yell louder. I'm very good at yelling and telling people where to go.
It's not working very good.
That's one of the problems of being a former school teacher. And I do want to welcome you, and I'm happy to see all of you here today.
Hold the mic closer.
Wait 1 minute.
You're on.
And we're now going to have Susan Hathaway reading Amanda Gorman's poem, The Hill We Climb. As you know, in certain parts of the country, this is banned. So you're going to be experienced to something that's banned. Okay, and she will have remarks after this.
Hello, I'm Susan Hathaway. The poem that was read by Amanda Gorman at President Joe Biden's inauguration has been banned from elementary schools in Florida after the objections of just one parent. We are reading it today to honor Millard and make sure the truth is heard. The hill we climb. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We brave the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gaze not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious. It's not over yet. And this is condensed. Not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone should sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy, and this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. So while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe, now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation, become the future. Our blunders become their burdens, but one thing is certain. If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. The new dawn balloons as we free it, for there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. And I just want to say a few words about how I feel about Judy and Millard and what an influence he was, they both were in my life, and he was such a great person that this poem shows and illustrates, and Millard was always for justice and mercy and what is right, and cared about others and the community, and fought for many, many rights of those less privileged, and Judy along with him every step of the way. And they have my heart, and I'm just proud to be a small part of this today. Thank you.
And this gentleman here is Ramon Sanchez Vinez, and he's going to read some comments by Jenny Young. If you read the paper, you may have over the years met many of her opinion pieces, and she's a great advocate for health care.
Hello. Before I read Jenny's piece, I want to say that it was a privilege to work with Millard on the election commission. The first time that I ran through an election cycle with him, I drove the car and he took me to where we needed to go. He introduced me to people, told me who was who, made sure that, but the one thing that I really remember, Judy, is that day when lunchtime came, he said, let's go back and I'm gonna go home for a few hours. And what that told me was he wanted to have lunch with Judy. He didn't want to go with Ramon somewhere, or the free food that was everywhere. He wanted to come home, and that told me a lot about him. But more importantly, we got to talk a lot about the election process here in Carter County, and I can tell you that it's safe here. There's no partisanship here. Junior Stanley is here, Republican, but he's head of the election commission. We have good meetings, and you should know that about Carter County, no matter what you hear nationwide. So, I want to read you this piece. So, the first two paragraphs are going to be what I put on here. But over the years, we've been fortunate to have several talented people who can write concise, well thought out articles on a wide range of subjects. Wordsmiths, as many might say. Many of you already know Judy was one of those writers, along with Jenny Young. Jenny was kind enough to write the following message for this dedication. The message clearly reminds us of Millard and all he stood for. Here's what Jenny says. I remember Millard for his quiet strength and gentle spirit. Unassuming by nature, he would seem to be leading from the front and from behind, kind of an anchor and a sail at the same time. Sometimes at our Democratic meetings, he would offer specific information or answer questions, but sometimes he wouldn't speak at all. Millard never was one needing to hear himself talk. His presence was important to us, though, possibly like no other. I think we sensed we were stronger as a team for his being there. Ever the best as a volunteer and team player, Millard never needed prompting to get started, setting up our picnic tables, potlucks, or other social events, or cleaning up after. It was always about getting the job done and leaving the venue we used as pristine as we found it, or better. He would get started on the hard jobs, setting up or breaking down tables, folding and storing chairs, washing dishes, or sweeping up. I never once saw him looking around to see who else was helping. Always there. Others always were, of course, and maybe even helped along because of such a cause. Get the second page, please. If I had to say one sentence, the guiding principle of the party Millard loved, I would say this: Democrats want everyone to thrive. That was Millard to his very core. May this community memorial bench always be a reminder of Millard's dedication to ensuring our elections are fair and free of partisan interference here in our beloved Carter County. And with that, I think you want me to unveil. Is that what you want to do? Let me tell you a quick one on this bench. If it wasn't for Barbara Murphy standing back there,
Trying to hide.
it may not be here today. For a long time, we had some people that volunteered to put it together, and weather and everything got to them, and then I ran out of time, and I'd been given bad phone numbers to contact them for a month. So I was leaving messages on somebody's phone, and it wasn't Connie's phone. So when I told Barbara about the dilemma with this deadline rolling up, she got on the phone, and I don't know where she got the correct numbers, but she got the correct number, and she actually went to their house. And as she was leaving, they pulled up, and they asked about the bench, and I think she must have co-opted them into getting it done. We have them to thank, but we have, and Barbara, I'm going to ask you to unveil it. I think you deserve it. So Wayne's going to help you uncover this really, really nice bench. So you know a little bit about the bench. It's made with recycled materials, something Millard really loves. Isn't that nice? You like it, Judy? Well, you're going to get asked to be sit down in it right now.
Come on up, Judy.
You have to
Come
be
on.
the very first one.
We want you to be the first one to sit down.
You sit there.
You're gonna sit down first, get your picture.
Would anybody like to come up and speak a few words about Millard? Don't be shy. Okay, what you got?
Although the plaque was given to the office 3 weeks ago, it hasn't been mounted on the wall yet. But we just happen to have it here, and it will be mounted next week on the
Supposedly Monday.
and the award of this is we all the family and the party have set up an award, a Millard M Garland Award of Excellence.
Got it?
Millard Garland devoted extensive time and resources to the Carter County and to those less fortunate who live here. He was an active volunteer with the Carter County Democratic Party, passionately supported social justice issues. He was especially proud of his 18-year service on the Carter County Election Commission, his service with the Shriners, and his 47-year membership as a Mason with the Watauga Lodge 622. The board has been developed by the Carter County Democratic Party and the friends and family of Millard to honor him by recognizing others in the community who demonstrate similar characteristics and commitment. The award may go to an individual or a public, private, or non-profit organization. To make it easier to nominate candidates, we outline the general requirements, and you may use whatever format you're comfortable with to submit a nomination as long as it follows these guidelines. And the young lady sitting there has both has some paperwork should anybody wants any, and we're going to give you plenty of time to fill out all the paperwork, which is very easy. We made it easy. If the nominee is an individual, please provide their name, address, and phone number. Then in a paragraph of 600 words or less, outline the person's career achievements, information on their education, and the family may also be included. Second paragraph, 600 words or less, discuss the nominee's service activities covering at least the most recent 2 or 3 years. Finally, third paragraph, 600 words or less, describe why the nominee deserves this recognition. If it is an organization that you are nominating, please provide the name, address, and phone number of the top executive. And if 600 words or less, outline the mission and objectives of the organization and a brief history. One more page. And I'm not going to go, the young lady there has the criteria for determining, wait a minute, you got to do this so you can hear me. the young lady there has, the criteria for determining eligibility. And there's about 8 of them, and they're very hard. You have to be an individual. You have to be 18 years of age and a voter. You have to live or work in Carter County, perform some type of civil community service or volunteer work that benefits the community and helps others live a better life. Donate financially or provide goods and services free of charge to the less fortunate. Have a sense of community that helps others. Sense of community and gives freely of themselves, and engender a sense of belonging to others that may be new or otherwise outsiders. And you got to be welcoming to everyone to participate and express viewpoints, even if they run counter to the norm. Respect others regardless of their race, gender, nationality, abilities, age, or any other reason. And once again, we're going to make it easy because you have all that paperwork. Nominees will be accepted between June 1st, 2024 through October 2nd, 2024. And this paperwork is also available online at the Tennessee Carter County Democratic Party. Winners will receive a personal plaque and names will be permanently displayed on a party plaque. Who determines the winner? The Millard M Garland Committee, comprised of representatives of the Garland family and members of the Carter County Democratic Party, will review all nominations, conduct a thorough review, and make the final decision. And with that, I'm going to close this meeting unless anybody would like to add
Marilyn,
something.
let me say something.
Yes.
Finally got nerve. I want to say that everything Miller did, he did it out of care. We went to countless healthcare meetings, begging for healthcare for the low income and less fortunate. And he was always there. He didn't talk, I did, but he always took me. But everything he did it because he wanted to. And he loved all of them. He loved the Carter County Democrat Party, the election commission, everything he did, he just never complained about anything he had to do. And he deserves this, and I know it more than anybody. Thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
We wouldn't be Democrats, and especially an organization that has so many women in it, if we didn't have food. So please help yourself. There are non-alcoholic drinks and plenty of snacks. Please help us get rid of them.